Tonight, the pilot killed in yesterday's plane crash was a bushfire water bomber. Plans to ban Burleigh on Esperance beaches over fears it'll attract sharks. And remembering their police colleagues at the Bloody Slow Cup.
Live across Western Australia, GWN7 News with Noel Brunning.
Good evening. The pilot who was killed in a plane crash yesterday in the Great Southern has been identified. Victorian man Sam Ferns was in Albany to work as a water bombing pilot for the upcoming bushfire season. Yesterday he was flying from Albany to Bunbury when his plane spiralled out of the sky and crashed in remote bush. Two investigators from the Australian Transport Safety Bureau arrived at the scene this afternoon.
Scattered through dense bushland in the Mount Lindesay National Park, the remains of a light aircraft after a fatal crash. The wreckage spread across hundreds of metres. The pilot and only person in the plane was 40-year-old Sam Ferns. He had flown his Cessna aircraft to Albany so he could work as a water bombing pilot during the bushfire season, something he'd done for several years. The crash scene was found after an aerial search, the rough terrain making it very difficult for emergency crews to reach the wreckage. Yesterday, a paramedic had to be winched down from the RAC rescue helicopter to examine the scene, and a bulldozer was needed to clear a track 3 kilometres long through the bush so police and investigators could reach the crash site.
The pilot was found with the main part of the fuselage, and obviously he was removed by police and taken back to Albany.
The aircraft left Albany Airport around 10:30 yesterday morning, heading for Bunbury. But not long afterwards, something went catastrophically wrong. Around 11:15, local farmer Peter Mostert says he heard a loud bang before the plane spiralled towards the ground and disappeared into the bushes.
Then there was a dark black column of smoke coming up, and that lasted for approximately 15 minutes.
It's thanks to him that the emergency responders had such clear directions. This morning, investigators from the Australian Transport Safety Bureau arrived in Albany. After they were briefed by police, they set off to the crash site. The investigation is now in their hands. It's expected they'll be here for the next few days.
Any items which they discover, which will be of interest to them, they'll look to remove from the scene and conduct further investigation and analysis of.
A report will be prepared for the coroner. Stephanie Garnett, GWN7 News.
A 23-year-old man has died after a car rollover in Norseman. It's believed the driver swerved to avoid a kangaroo. His passenger was sent to Norseman Hospital with life-threatening injuries and died a short time later. It happened at around 8 o'clock yesterday morning at the intersection of Eyre Highway and Princess Royal Road, 200 kilometres north of Esperance. The driver was treated for minor injuries. A group in Esperance is campaigning to ban Burleigh. They say the fish bait attracts sharks close to shore, putting people's lives at risk. A teenage surfer was killed in a shark attack near Esperance in April.
It's been more than 6 months since 17-year-old Letitia Brower was killed by a shark while surfing in Esperance. And some Esperance locals say they're still waiting for the government to take action and protect beachgoers.
It's a massive problem down here. There's sharks regularly sighted and aggressive sharks coming in contact with swimmers and divers, surfers, fishermen on a regular basis.
Mitchell Capelli is the leader of the Esperance Ocean Safety and Support Group. It was formed in the aftermath of the attack on Letitia at Kelp's Bed in April. The Minister of Fisheries will be visiting Esperance tomorrow and will be meeting with Mitch and his group. Top of Mitch's agenda is banning Burleigh, which is used by fishermen to attract fish.
You don't need to be bringing sharks close to shore where people are entering the water, so just a little bit of common sense and education on that I think is pretty key.
Nationals MP Colin de Groosa says it's not clear whether there are more sharks visiting Esperance beaches.
And the way to do that, in my view, is to have a more committed research program so we can actually tag more sharks, then we can detect them with the VR4 receivers that are out.
2 satellite receivers were installed at Esperance beaches in June, but they detect only tagged sharks. Mitch would like to see another system which sets off an alarm for beachgoers as soon as any shark is detected, tagged or untagged.
With the VR4 receivers, so like the Shark Boys, I'll be hopefully getting asking for lights or sirens on them, so they are real time.
Laura Birch, GWN7 News.
A Pilbara town with dangerous levels of dust in the air is now waiting on the government to go through dozens of public submissions on the problem, many of them calling on companies using the port to reduce their dust emissions. But the Premier says it's a process which could take months.
It's a classic red dirt Pilbara town. Port Hedland has always been dusty, but it's the dust you can't see that has locals worried.
Port Hedland is a port, it is industrial, it's dusty, and we accept that it's in the Pilbara and it's dusty, but we don't accept pollutants.
A health report by the state government proved microscopic particles from port operations were found in the air at high levels, posing a dangerous risk to the long-term health of locals and workers. The Port Hedland Dust Management Task Force made a series of recommendations for the state government to consider, including cracking down on emissions at the port, introducing a special zone for residents and stopping development in the West End. But while locals want to see dangerous dust levels reduced, they don't want limitations on business and residential growth in the town.
The town is dying off, and we're concerned that if we don't stop it or put other plans in place, that we will have a ghost town here.
They'd rather see the West End boosted with hotels, cafes, even clubs to keep temporary residents and local cash flowing through the area.
Ports are noisy, ports don't sleep. Ports work 24 hours a day, so the area that they're talking about could easily be a port precinct, which is what the residents have been asking for a long time.
44 public submissions from BHP Billiton to local residents were handed in to the Port Hedland Dust Management Task Force. The state government says it'll take months to go through them all before they decide what to do.
Port Hedland Harbour and what goes out of it is crucial for the nation's economic future, so we need to always take into account the state, the nation's, the local economy in making any decisions that we make.
We need to find a balance between community, industry and government, and we need to find that common ground, and we need to move forward and develop Port Hedland into the future.
Industry already knows what they need to do, the government knows what they need to do. So if they take until Christmas and it's a big Christmas present, I think we're fine with that.
In Port Hedland, Emily Evans, GWN7 News.
A man has been charged over a fatal crash in the Pilbara in September last year. The crash happened on the Marble Bar Road, 100 kilometres south of Nullagine. Police say the Camry drove onto the gravel verge, then veered across the road and rolled. A 20-year-old man died at the scene. The 28-year-old driver has now been charged with dangerous driving, causing death and drink driving. Tension has been brewing in a southwest town over a decision to close a popular boat ramp. Locals say it'll affect local tourism, overcrowd neighbouring towns and could put lives at risk. But the Department of Biodiversity says lives are already at risk because the ramp is in a dangerous area.
Canal Rocks in the southwest is a beautiful part of the world with pristine waters and natural tourist attractions. But the local boating and fishing community is at odds with the state government because of this boat ramp.
Canal Rocks is an iconic place, really.
This is what the waters looked like today, but this is how they can look. The Department of Biodiversity wants to shut the ramp because it's dangerous, but locals like Glenn Wakelam insist it's not, and actions to make the jetty safer should be considered before simply closing it.
Some signage could probably be quite handy to educate some people that might be a bit green to the area.
Glenn says closing this ramp will put pressure on neighbouring ramps in Gracetown and Yellingup, but he's also a member of the Volunteer Sea Rescue. This ramp is the closest launching point for the local sea rescue crews to get to popular surfing spots like Smith's Beach, where big events like Taja's Small Fries is held.
Come from Gracetown, which is about 15 kilometres to the south there, and it's quite rough waters on any given day. And the other option is to come from Dunsborough and travel out to the Cape and then around, which is a 20-mile trip.
The Department of Biodiversity says the swell and dangerous sea conditions in the area makes the ramp unsafe. That's why they're recommending the ramp should be closed to the general public, although they are looking at ways of allowing the Volunteer Sea Rescue crew to keep using it. A public rally will be held on Sunday at Canal Rocks to try and keep the ramp. Kate Ryan, GWN7 News.
Shauna has the latest now on our weather and another sweltering day north.
Yeah, thanks for that, Noel. More of those big temperatures hitting hard, while a Goldfields viewer was so taken by last night's rather spectacular sunset in Kalgoorlie, Boulder, they sent us a photo. A big thank you for that. Now, we had rain forecast as a very weak front just sort of slipped past here, that southwest corner. Only a very light falls were recorded. Plenty of sunshine then through the afternoon. A broad trough north with another extending through here from the Pilbara down through to the interior. Now, 43 was our highest maximum. That was at a few places, including Wyndham and Fitzroy Crossing. It was also recorded in the Pilbara at Marble Bar and Port Hedland, a scorcher. Cooler down the west coast, 26 for Carnarvon. Geraldton reached that 25, and it's been brisk southwesterlies for much of the goldfields today. Kalgoorlie at 31 degrees. Westerlies for much of the southern half, 21 in Busselton and Bunbury. Albany as well. Our overnight low was 5. That was at York. And today east, 23, the top there for Esperance. Rainfall till now this morning, very light and very south at 4 millimetres, the highest recording at Donnybrook, and we had 2 mils at Bridgetown. Our weather watchers tonight, Aaron and Melanie from Goldfields Engagement Centre. A big hello to Meg and Amy at Bailing Up Primary. And this is Evelyn, Georgia, James and Magnus from St Francis Xavier in Geraldton. Coming up, the forecast for your place.
The cricket club left with a $15,000 out of pocket after a break-in. That's coming up. Plus, Polly's hit the pub for a pint with the locals.
Stay in touch 24/7 with GWN7 News.
Hoons have been caught on camera doing burnouts in the state's Midwest. This video was sent to GWN7 News showing what is believed to be a P-plate driver. Karratha police are investigating. A trailer carrying cricket pitch covers has been stolen from the Eastern Goldfields Cricket Association. They're worth around $15,000 and the cricket club can't afford to replace them.
The Ray Finlayson Sporting Complex is brand new. The cricket season in just its second week, and already the club has been robbed.
Oh, frustrating. You know, it's not only frustrating for us, it's frustrating for the Shire because, you know, they've done damage to the perimeter fencing and all that stuff. You know, the gates were left open. They didn't even use the gates.
Thieves cut through wire fencing on Sunday night to enter the grounds and steal a trailer carrying cricket pitch covers, a haul worth around $15,000.
Well, it is a kick in the guts because they're the only covers we got.
The Cricket Association has set up a GoFundMe page in hopes of rallying community support for the club.
But now we can't afford it, so I don't know what we're going to do.
And the question of why is still puzzling members.
Why? I don't know. Whether they want the trailers, whether they want just the covers, you know. But if we can get these back, it would be brilliant.
Police are investigating the incident, but Steve says if the items are returned, there will be no questions asked.
I don't want police involved, so if somebody's got them, please ring up or let somebody know and we can pick them up and nothing will be said.
Brendan Crew, GWN7 News.
Premier Mark McGowan was in Broome today talking up plans to dredge the port in order to increase business from cruise liners. The government has allocated $7 million for the work.
Although the Premier is dealing with a mountain of state debt, he was quick to spend $7 million here in Broome.
We're going to improve the channel here leading into the port, and the reason behind that is to ensure that cruise ships can get in more easily into Broome.
The expected increase in the number of cruise ships visiting Broome will create millions of dollars of additional tourist spending. Earlier this year, the Carnival Cruise Line announced it was going to quit Fremantle as a home port and cut back on its cruises along the west coast. That left the government reeling.
As a consequence of that, we then contacted Carnival again and said, if we invest that $7 million, will you make sure that a cruise ship stays in Fremantle and accesses regional ports around Western Australia? And they agreed.
Broome Port's workload is expected to increase greatly in the next few years, with new Kimberley mines moving into production and the continued growth of the beef industry.
It will also make trading and other activities here at the port conducted more easily, allow them to be conducted more easily. So this is something we're very excited by.
Laura Thomas, GWN 7 News.
It's being called Polly's in the pub. Opposition leader Mike Nahan and MP Kyron O'Donnell have had a meet and greet with Goldfields miners. The Liberal leader is in the region to tour mine sites and meet with the locals.
It didn't get off to the best of starts. A miscommunication meant the Polly went to the wrong pub and there wasn't a miner to be seen. But a little later he made his way to the Palace Hotel and soon found himself in a sea of high-vis shirts and jackets. And after shooting down the government's planned gold royalty hike, Mike Nahan was a popular figure amongst the gold miners.
And we're only one out of a number of other companies, so it was real. This wasn't smoke and mirrors, these are real jobs at risk, and that's not something that you sleep easily on night as a mining executive.
He was joined by local member Kyron O'Donnell. In total, around 200 miners turned up for the meeting.
They knew the impact of an increase in gold royalty would have on them, and that's why they're here celebrating. They have their jobs into the future because of the decisions we made.
Dr Nahan spent 2 days in the goldfields touring mines, meeting with locals and attending a ceremony celebrating 100 years of the Trans-Australian Railway. He says the Kalgoorlie people are extremely welcoming and he'll be back.
Oh, I'll be back, yeah. I'll be back.
Brendan Crew, GWN7 News.
Hundreds of kids hit the cricket pitch for a country T20 carnival. That's coming up next in sport. Plus, police officers remembered at the Bloody Slow Cup. Just over 120 kids turned up for the first session of the Milo Junior Cricket competition in Kalgoorlie. The Sir Richard Moore Oval was transformed as kids from age 5 through to 7 signed up for the Milo Into Cricket season, teaching kids the basics of batting, bowling, fielding and catching. The 7 to 11-year-olds kicked off the Milo T20 Blast. That's a modified version of the Big Bash League. Music, fun and games made the night a successful start to the season and hopefully they'll be back. Police officers from WA and New Zealand have battled it out for this year's Bloody Slow Cup in Newman. The game is played every year to remember 4 police officers who died in a plane crash.
Senior Constable Philip Gavin Rowland, 7877.
And we are Te Roku Tai Tamariki o Newman. We are here to remember our loved ones that have gone too soon.
An emotional ceremony remembering the fallen. Police officers Philip Gavin Rowland, Donald Everett, David Dewar and Gavin Capes. Friends and family gathered to remember 4 police officers killed in 2001. They were returning from Kiwakara community near the Northern Territory border when their plane crashed 2.5 kilometres southeast of Newman Airport.
Out of the 4 officers that are on the plane that crashed back in Australia Day 2001, 3 of those officers I knew, but one of them was a very close personal friend of mine.
And to remember them, police officers from WA and the Northern Territory come together every year to play a rugby match against the Kiwis. At stake is the Bloody Slow Cup. And this year, Kiwi pride was on the line. The New Zealand captain has been playing for his side for 11 years.
This game's pretty significant for us because we've lost the last 3.
But in the end, the Kiwis were just too good, defeating the Aussies 29-12.
Well, today is the day that we won. It felt real great knowing that people cared and showing compassion and love.
It's been a rough couple of weeks, just with how everything's worked out, but we were able to put a team together.
So far, more than $50,000 has been raised for police legacy. In Newman, Tangi Ora Hinaki, GWN7 News.
Shauna Willis is back next with a look at your weather. And then ahead in 7 News, a woman attacked and killed by the pet dog she described as her best friend. Now, Fuel Watch, keeping you informed on where to find the cheapest fuel prices where you live across WA. For a larger list of towns, check the Fuel Watch website online or phone 1300 304 054. Let's take a look now at the forecast for your place. Shauna, there's more rain on the way south.
Yes, a few more millimetres. No big falls are expected though. Ahead of the next front, however, the Bureau has issued an extreme fire danger. That's through here, parts of the sort of the Goldfields interior area. Tomorrow it is going to be hot, dry and windy, but then well to the west of that, showers are expected to areas up around the central west, inland to the wheat belt, and then back to coastal parts by evening. Ahead to Friday, a high is expected then to extend through here. You can see moving from the west over much of that southern half. So showers should be confined to southwest of the line from Jurien Bay through to Bremer. And then into the weekend, Saturday, there is another cold front just brushing past the south coast. So there is some more rain forecast. It should reach up to around Geraldton and across to Israelite Bay through the afternoon. And that we may get some afternoon thundery showers also up through here, parts of that far west and east Kimberley. Sunday, it is back to clearing skies, just some morning showers to that far southwest corner. And of course, more of those seasonal storms are expected to the far north. It's another warm day for parts of the north tomorrow. 41 the top in Kununurra, skies clear, and 34 in Broome. 41 is the forecast top for Port Hedland, and Karatha's looking at 38. Expect a windy 25 for Carnarvon tomorrow. Denham's looking at that 24. And rain may reach up that central west coast at Geraldton and Jurien Bay, both 23. Rain in the southwest corner up to around 8 millimetres. Some possible storms, Bunbury 20, the same for Albany. A light morning shower for Northam and a windy 25, the top for Merredin. A couple of millimetres and gusty winds to the southeast coast tomorrow. Esperance looking at that 26. There is an extreme fire danger for the Goldfields. Hot and windy, Kalgoorlie at 32. Now, strong wind warning tomorrow for water settings are here off the Pilbara coast west and the Ningaloo coast. Strong winds for western waters, but increasing to gale strength, setting off that Lewin coastline. And gale warnings have been issued for all southern waters, so please do take care there. Let's have a look at the capitals now. Wet and stormy for Canberra tomorrow, top there of 21 with cloud clearing for Adelaide. And then back in the west and for Perth, we are looking at a few showers and 22. And look, a big congratulations tonight to Dawn and Keith Nowak, who are holidaying in Kalbarri and celebrating their 65th wedding anniversary. We hope you are having a wonderful time with that. From me, good night.
At least the weather was nice for them. Thank you, Shauna. That's GWN7 News to now. I'll have updates for you throughout the night. And remember, for news anytime, head to GWN7.com.au, and you can also follow us on social media. 7 News from Perth is next. From our team, good night, Western Australia.